Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today, I wanted to get on and talk about things that can be barriers to finding love again. And especially if you've been in a toxic relationship, right? So there's a healing that needs to take place and a journey that needs to happen in order for you to maybe get back in touch with who your authentic self is, and a journey. So it's a journey back to yourself. And sometimes that journey can take us into some really painful places, right? Because sometimes that journey takes us further back into our childhood. And so we're having to sort of reconcile some of the things that maybe we grew up believing to be true, or, just different aspects of ourselves that when we examine them now as adults, can kind of give us a sense of why maybe we get caught in these patterns, right? Because sometimes the hardest part of moving on is getting out of that stuckness, of that pattern, that loop that you're caught in, right? So the way that we do that, and I've talked about this in videos before, is that, we need to do that introspective piece. We need to sort of reconnect with who we are, our values, our morals, and our beliefs about ourselves, right? And we need to maybe rediscover who we are in this new time, in this new place, right? Because you're not the same person that you were going into the relationship, that's for sure. You're not the same person that you were, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or whatever. There's certain things about you that have changed over time, obviously, because growth and evolution are just part and parcel of the package, right? But whether that growth and evolution moved you more towards healthy, goals and dreams, or maybe more away from it, is really what we need to examine and figure out, right? So that as you were growing and evolving, were you becoming maybe more entrenched in some of your patterns, right? Or were you trying to sort of figure things out along the way, but maybe you were lacking some resources? And that's why it's like I always talk about how it's so important to take that time after a relationship breakup to do the work necessary to find out, what your hopes and dreams are, and how would a relationship with someone else benefit those. Because I think when you get real about those things, it becomes easier to find someone who fits those dynamics, as opposed to trying to find someone and then trying to fit them into your worldview, right? So how do you move on? How do you find love again? I think some of it is just going to be like, you need to break those patterns. Some of it's going to be rediscovering who you are and, your new dreams and goals for the future. And some of it is going to come down to being very clear about what you're looking for in a relationship and having boundaries and self-love enough to be willing to wait it out if you need to. And I understand that like there's logistics at play here too, right? There's the fact that it's harder and harder these days to connect with people in real life and form, true connections. And so I think, when I talk about creating community, that comes into play as well. So it's like, it's a win-win. We create some community around us to help us sort of build our resilience, help us to, reconnect with ourselves in healthy ways. And that community also can become a source of meeting new people who are like-minded, who, share some of the same passions or ideas or morals and beliefs, right? So, some of the logistics can be sort of, figured out And then I get that there's other barriers that come into play as well. And so my job isn't to fix all of those barriers for you, but to allow you to have more clarity on how to manage those barriers, how to become your more authentic self when it comes to dating and finding, partnerships and whatnot, and friendships even. So that's the kind of stuff that I help my clients with. It's, reconnecting to themselves and to their source. So if you need help with that, please feel free to reach out. And thank you for joining me today, and namaste.